Hey guys, Too Heavy Wrestling here. You got all four of us. We just wanted to get together to kind of talk about a couple things real quick before we get to this week's episode. The real thing that we wanted to address with you guys real quick is that um obviously this hasn't been an amazing week in wrestling. We lost not one but two fantastic names in wrestling, that being Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, a very surprising and young loss to the wrestling world. But we wanted to put this little video together because we have NWA 75 this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 2 night show. Uh, that being said, this week's episode is actually pre recorded. So you're not going to hear anything about it, about Terry Funk or Bray Wyatt and their unfortunate passing, because it was pre recorded. But we wanted to make sure that we took the time to talk about them and give our condolences to their families and the fans, and address it for you guys and for us, because this is emotional for us too. We really wanted to just talk about it for a minute. So um I guess I'll shut up and let one of you guys talk for a second about what's happened this week. Whoever wants to go.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's really, really hard being able to see something you really enjoy and you're very accustomed to growing up and watching wrestling. And to think you have that at his absolute peak, man gets released, he gets re-signed back and is in full force to make a humongous impact, and then you have that all taken away and when you're in your stride, especially. Not only that, but to have your wife and kids at that point uh just left alone, essentially. It's hard to see all of that before your very eyes, and especially in real time. It's hard to process everything and process. We haven't seen Bray Wyatt in the longest time, and it didn't feel right at first not seeing Bray Wyatt on weekly television. Now to think we won't be able to see him again, it's a humongous loss for the world of professional wrestling. And to have not only who he was as a person, but quite possibly in the past decade, the most creative person, especially. It's wrestling's not going to be the same. And then, especially with Terry Funk, you have people who looked up to him, such as Mick Foley, creating humongous memories for us. And I didn't necessarily get to see Terry Funk in his at his peak or in his prime, but I've seen so many matches. Even I've actually seen him wrestle before, while I got into wrestling and doing stuff with One Night Stand in the new ECW, and just what he did to put his body on the line for our entertainment, and just what he did for the world of professional wrestling was excruciating to him, but super memorable for me and really got me more heavily involved in wrestling. So both have left a tremendous impact on me, and it's going to be hard to look at wrestling the same and see what comes from it. So I hope WWE is able to give both families their respect, which luckily they did tonight. Both superstars got a whole lot of respect shown, and I'm glad that did, and I hope that continues to carry on.
Yeah, SmackDown, we kind of talked about it before we jumped on here, but SmackDown did a really good job of balancing the love for Terry Funk and the love for Bray Wyatt, because a lot of us were going to be worried that while Bray Wyatt, being the more modern, the more current superstar, um, would get more time, we were worried that Terry Funk would get lost in the shuffle, and I was really happy to see that that didn't happen. What about you, Clayton?
Um, it's hard. It's tough because wrestling has lost one of its impactful creative minds in probably all of the modern era, to be perfectly honest. When we think about the things that Bray Wyatt was even allowed to make the attempt for. Um, Whether that's the Firefly Funhouse match with Cena, which was amazing in its own right. The fact that he essentially played two characters at the same time and was committed to that. It for both Bray and Terry Funk, and I unfortunately never saw Terry Funk wrestle, but I understand his impact to the world of professional wrestling as more or less being the father of hardcore wrestling, which is all of our non-standard match types outside of a last man standing or an I quit. It's just some variant of a hardcore match.
Yeah.
But for both Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, they got over in a way that did not fit the conventional mold of a professional wrestler at either of their times. And in Bray's case, see someone climb the mountaintop like that, have it taken away, and then climb the mountaintop again with his vision, unimpeachable, uncompromising. Like, no, we're doing this way, and I'm going to show you why we're going to do it this way. It's incredible sad. It's just an incredible, incredible sad moment.
What about you, Zach? I know you were very passionate about Bray Wyatt from the get-go. Even from I remember when we were working together more intimately in the retail space, like when the Wyatt family started coming up, like you were super stoked about that.
Yeah. And again, I'll preface with this with the Terry Funk situation. As much as I respect him for his work as a hardcore icon, he was a well past my time. For me to be able to admire him as much as he should be. So I just want to preface that before I lay into why Bray Wyatt meant so much to me as a wrestler. But yeah, so Bray Wyatt, I I came into seeing him as Bray Wyatt. I was on my wrestling hiatus, as you could say, during his Husky Harris fiasco in the original NXT. And I actually was watching FCW at the time, so I got to watch it from its incarnation up to what it became to be and what it was. And I got to be there live for a lot of the moments that he had when he was versing John Cena for the first time, and we got the whole world in his hands promo with all the kids coming out and surrounding the ring. I was there for that, and I got to watch him as a mastermind, like Clayton said, grow into this beautiful thing. And um, he's always a performer that I've had his back. I never turned away from what he was doing. Yeah, I might not have liked the direction of where things were going for him at the time, but he's somebody who I never can truly say I looked away from. And even then, this time around, I was devastated when he got let go from WWE because I just didn't think he fit anywhere else. On a storytelling basis, there wasn't another company that could offer what Bray could offer to. So then to see that return that he had at Extreme Rules last year, which honestly falls down as my ultimate favorite return really almost ever. There's quite a bit up there. But on a theatrical level, again, Bray was one of those talents that was hard to top. So it's really sad knowing that he did get the opportunity to come back. He did have this storyline brewing. It was slow to start. Not everybody was liking what was happening because it seemed to be getting drawn out in some way. To then him unfortunately falling ill in February, to which a lot of people unfortunately thought other reasons were the reason that he was off TV. And as a fan, I want to say sorry to Bray Wyatt for that too, because a lot of people had the wrong assumption of that. But come to find out, you know, there was a way bigger underlying issue here. And unfortunately, yesterday we had to find out why everything was happening. But Bray, ultimately, all I want to say is that you were one of the reasons that I even got back into wrestling and why I stayed into wrestling. You were one of the only true characters left in the wrestling world. And honestly, I don't think there's going to be anyone else like you. Taker said it best, is that there was a reason that he did his passing the torch moment to him at Raw 30. And yeah, that's really all I got to say. And I hope my condolences out to his family and everybody involved with him, Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan, Bo Dallas, and JoJo and his kids, as well as his father, Mike Rotunda. I wish them all the best while they're going through this time.
Yeah, man. Both families at this point, I think we as a group and individuals at this point, it's about the families and making sure that they're thought of and they're taken care of, and that we make sure we respect them at this time, you know, because a lot of people, whenever something like this happens, they want to dig at it and get to every detail. And like right now, we just need to let these families grieve. But like I said, the episode that you're gonna see here in a couple minutes or in a couple seconds, however long this takes, it's pre-recorded, so you're not gonna hear us talking about any of it during this episode, but it is going to be a fun episode. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy it, but we did as a group want to take the time to make sure that we give these two their flowers and that we pay our condolences to their families. So thanks for letting us talk to you for a few minutes before you let us talk to you for a few more minutes. So that's really it. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to say before we jump out of here?
Nope.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for letting us talk to you and enjoy the episode. See you guys. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Too Heavy Wrestling Podcast. I am Randy, joined by Zach and Eddie, and we got a fun-filled episode for you today. We are going to be talking about Mount Rushmores. Now, I know that's a topic that's been discussed a lot recently. A lot of wrestlers have been coming out and giving their Mount Rushmores, but they've been pretty generic, just Mount Rushmores of wrestling. We're going to go ahead and get more specific. We picked 3 topics that we're going to be covering with you guys today around what we're going to be doing that. But first, to make sure you're following all of us on all the socials, Eddie, why don't you run us through those real quick?
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, and make sure to tune in with us each and every week on Spotify and Apple Music.
Thank you for dealing with our shameless plug. Now let's get to the fun. So, I think when we were discussing what we wanted to talk about today, I had the idea for Mount Rushmore's, but actually Eddie had the first topic ready to go in mind. So Eddie, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with topic?
I am going to be basic in this sense, and I chose high flyers. Now, we're going to go in a circle and talk about our 4 high flyers, and then I think we can recap with our honorable mention after we've gone through all of our Mount Rushmores. Yeah, we decided
we wanted to do a Mount Rushmore, which is obviously 4. If you don't know what Mount Rushmore it is, it's a monument in South Dakota. There's 4 presidents. Go check it out. Shameless plug to South Dakota.
Who's your favorite president?
Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
I think my hand's stuck in a...
Yeah. Right there.
All right.
4.
Well, I'm just
actually, my favorite president is WWF President Jack Tunney. Sorry, I lied.
My favorite president is Roddy Piper.
Good choice. All right, so Mount Rushmore's 4, and then we decided we were going to do, if we wanted to, an honorable mention or 2 in case they didn't quite make the list, but we thought they were worth talking about. But our first topic being high flyers. Eddie, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
I'm going to start with one of the originators who made high flying look pretty freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've talked about him a little bit today, at least. And I'm a mark for him. If you guys didn't know that right now, I'm actually wearing a shirt. Randy Savage. I think his elbow drop is
People imitate it to this day. You see your real AEW World Champion CM Punk try to imitate it. Doesn't do it as good as him. He just had some of the best high-flying moves. His in-ring ability was insane. On to the next one. I think one of the more influential high flyers has some of the greatest cruiserweight matches of all time. And former world heavyweight champion and WWE champion, that being Rey Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
No one can do what he does. Except maybe Dami. Because Dami can do whatever the hell he wants.
Well, Dami's got those genes.
Dami's got those genes.
Dami's
if
got
you
the
haven't
genes.
heard, Mommy's always on top, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Mommy's always on top, and Dami's got the genes.
Dami also...
It might be skinny jeans.
Dami also has a treat right now. Also,
yeah,
kind of making a name for himself.
Dami and Mommy have their treats.
And I'm also, speaking... This actually has nothing to do with treats, but I was going to try to loop that in. I'm going to go to my favorite wrestler of all time. That being Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy has done some of the most insane and crazy things in regards to ladder matches, in regards to swantoning Randy Orton through the stage, in regards to just being one of the innovators of the high-flying moves. Makes everything look so cool the way he does it. He's not completely flashy, but just what he does just innovates high-flying all around. And then I don't know if you guys could guess who my next one is. But
is it Eddie Guerrero?
No, yeah. Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, that was my second guess.
His frog splash is one of the most beautiful things ever. And the only guy who can come close to having a frog splash that beautiful, no disrespect to Eddie Guerrero, just want to point that out. Montez actually has a pretty nice frog splash.
Montez Ford's frog splash is probably the most elevated frog splash. He probably gets the most height.
And it is a thing of beauty. And just watching that. But RVD was the innovator and made that look just as beautiful before. And that's not the only thing he has to his name. Everything about him screams high flyer. ECW, you got to see a lot more of that. But RVD rounds out my list of Mount Rushmore for high flyers.
Honorable mention?
Honorable mention. I thought we were going to wait to do that till everyone went around. Okay. But I'll hit it. I'll hit it.
Yeah, you go ahead. We'll just do it all at once.
I put a different one. He's a bigger guy, which is why I wanted to put him on this list. I put Too Cold Scorpio.
Yes.
Or Flash Funk.
Funk.
And that man hit a 450.
Yeah.
Like no other, in my opinion. He did a lot of other crazy high-flying stuff. He did the Phoenix Splash before the Phoenix Splash was overused.
Yeah.
So I thought he was a great addition that a lot of people may not know much about to add as an honorable mention.
Yeah. When you said big guy, I thought you were going to say Brock Lesnar for a shooting star press.
No, if he hit the shooting star.
I was like, he used to hit that thing like it was no big deal.
He used to no VW and then put him on the big stage. He doesn't know how to freaking do
and then
it.
He almost breaks his neck at WrestleMania 19.
With a little dive.
All right, well, you go ahead, Zach.
Well, my first three out of this list kind of tie into each other why they're on this list. One was on Eddie's list, Rey Mysterio.
Yep.
My other is one that hasn't been listed yet, but Psychosis.
A fantastic
You know what? I actually, in my head, said he's going to go Mexicools.
Yeah.
For his list.
The entire Mexicools.
But mainly for the WCW
Rey
Mysterio Jr., Eddie Guerrero matches, and lead pick, which is Eddie. I know later on wasn't as much of a high flyer anymore, got bigger, but definitely during the WCW time. With those three, I was very much a getting into my fourth, also on Eddie's list, with Rob Van Dam. Best five-star frog splash, and seeing the Van Daminator and what the Coast to Coast. I mean, from him,
the Van Terminator.
Yeah, the Van Terminator.
Yeah.
Going all the way across to hit the trash can on the other side.
Crazy.
That was my, big thing with him, and he would be higher on this list if those three didn't intertwine with each other a little bit more.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, and what you're going to notice about my honorable mentions is that there are a lot more modern wrestlers now.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of my Mount Rushmores will be older generation, but
Yeah.
Ricochet is on my Mount Rushmore.
That's a good pick for sure.
Not necessarily for his WWE work, but a lot of his outside of WWE work.
I would even say
I've been a big fan of as well.
I would even say NXT. Like, he was great
NXT
there.
too. But you know, when he was Prince Puma and everything in Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
That is where Santos Escobar got put on the map, is because I forgot his character in Lucha Underground, but him and Prince Puma had some insane freaking matches.
Yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore.
So for my high flyers, the overall prevailing theme is Rey Mysterio, right? I obviously have Rey Mysterio on mine. To match Eddie, I also had Jeff Hardy on mine, which is hard for me because I'm not the biggest Jeff Hardy fan. But you can't think of high flying without thinking of the Swanton Bomb first. Like, it's right up there with everything else. Not to mention all of the different ladder spots through all of the different years. Like, you can't not give the man his flowers. You know what I mean? Jeff Hardy's on there. And then I put AJ Styles because I remember during the 2004 to 2009 even being a fan of his during his original TNA run. Like, AJ Styles for me in particular has always been who I look to as like the blueprint for high flying, because Rey Mysterio does it as a specialty and he has its own flair to it, and Jeff Hardy was like the extreme version. But anyone who wants to be a high flyer needs to model themselves after what AJ Styles does. He's like the blueprint for it. And then for my fourth, very similar to yours with Ricochet, and it's a lot more about what he's done outside of WWE. You went with his WWE name to be consistent, but Evan Bourne is on mine for sure. Too. Yeah, he's definitely on there.
Matt Sydal.
Matt Sydal. If you don't know, Matt Sydal is who Evan Bourne is outside of the WWE. Any match he's in, give it a watch, because that man has never gotten the proper push that he deserves, but he always gives 110%. He is hands down one of the best high flyers you'll ever see do it.
AEW
one of the biggest spots that we go back and look.
Yeah. And then
the shooting star into an RKO.
Yeah, exactly.
And AEW ruined his high flying abilities because they told him to do shooting star press in a battle royal and he slipped off the top rope, and he has never done a shooting star press since.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And then for my honorable mention, I actually did put Eddie. And the reason why he's an honorable mention and not on the list is because when I think of Eddie, no, not you, Eddie Guerrero. When I think of Eddie Guerrero, I always think of his WWE run 2002 and after, like Los Guerreros and all that. And not to say he wasn't a high flyer during that time, but he was doing so much character work that he didn't have to do all of the same high flying that he did in WCW. But he certainly belongs to be in the conversation.
Right.
So he's my fifth. If Mount Rushmore had a fifth president, mine would be Eddie. But right now, those
crisp moves just all the time. We were talking about Jake Roberts earlier and how crisp his moves were.
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero's
very fluid. Well, actually, I would go the other way. Fluid.
Yeah,
like, they were just very fluid. One thing went to another, no matter what, and it always looked like it made sense with Eddie. So.
Just such a good freaking wrestler.
He's a wizard.
I want to talk AJ Styles, not just a blueprint for a high flyer, blueprint for a wrestler.
100%.
Just in general.
Because he can grapple.
Yeah.
Like he's got all of it. Like if you want to be eights across the board, if you want to be jack of all trades, master of none, you are AJ Styles.
Absolutely.
Like that is exactly what you do.
100%.
Like I brought this up before, but AJ Styles is like one of those last homegrown wrestlers that almost feels like territory level.
Yeah, 100%.
Like he doesn't have this like performance center build up style. And I know he came up through TNA, and it was during 2002, after era. But like it's one of those things that when you look at AJ Styles, just think of like the territory era. How built that be, and like one of the
look at and say.
100%. I would agree with that.
Such a good freaking wrestler.
So for this next Mount Rushmore, Zach, why don't you go ahead and introduce us to it?
Yeah, so when we were talking about it, I said we should do Mount Rushmore of promos or character work, basically, as we say, not necessarily just wrestlers, but could be manager roles or anything like.
Yeah, your abilities on the microphone.
Right. So to get mine started, like this guy is going to be on everybody's list. We'll see, but that would be Paul Heyman. Overall,
and he's like, I gotta change my list.
From what he's doing currently, 10 years ago, what he's done 15 years ago, and so on. It's been masterclass. He is the blueprint standard of managerial role, and it's going to be a sad day when he does not do this for a full-time job anymore.
God on the mic. That's who he is.
My next one, my first wrestler on this list is Randy Savage.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yes.
And overall, of course, he was great in the ring, but his over-the-top promos that made you wonder what the heck he was on put him on this list. Then this Mount Rushmore is pretty cliche, but my next two go hand in hand, which is The Rock and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Hand in hand with each other. They made each other in the
Attitude Era.
Attitude Era. Sorry, my mind's blanking right
now.
Yeah. But yeah, so pretty cliche Mount Rushmore for me on that. I do have some more, again, modern honorable mentions, being Samoa Joe. Just for the ruthless promos that he does, they're not filtered.
Underrated promo.
He'll just say whatever.
Very underrated promo.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones is when he was doing promos against Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
In his run where he should have won the WWE
Championship. That was it. You should have pulled
Wendy.
the trigger. Wendy. Yeah, those were great.
And of course the stuff he's doing in AEW now. And then of course I can do this list without the current modern Stone Cold Rock of LA Knight.
Yeah.
Because he still has to me, I hope he has a long way to go in his career, and he might be on this Mount Rushmore for me later, but that is my other.
He's on the right path to be on that list someday.
100%.
Yes.
So for my promos, I went a little bit older for mine because Rock and Stone Cold definitely get their flowers in this category, but I'll start with what was similar. I did put Paul Heyman. The man is absolutely the best to ever hold a microphone. No one can deny that at this point. Not even just with the skill level, but the consistency and the length of time. You know what I mean? Like he's been doing this consistently since he returned with like Brock Lesnar and all that back in 2012, but even before that when he was doing it for the Invasion angle, and before that when he was doing it with ECW, like it's just promo work. You go to Paul Heyman. And then of that pairing, I chose to go with The Rock over Stone Cold, only because I put The Rock because he was perfect at both the in-ring promos and the backstage promos, while Stone Cold did backstage segments, but not necessarily the interview promos like with Coach. But his in-ring promos were incredible. But I did ultimately go with The Rock over Stone Cold for that spot. And then I went with Ric Flair.
Yeah, expected.
Ric Flair back in the NWA or the WCW days when he would NWA is when he would yell at you about how rich he was and how much you suck and how he's the man and he's the world's heavyweight champion, and then move on. And then in WCW, it was a lot more unhinged. I'm going to get naked and elbow drop this jacket and then throw my shoes into the crowd and then tell that lady in the front row that I could kiss her and make her cry. Like that kind of deal.
Yeah. Honestly, he had some really good ones towards the back end of his WWE stint too.
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
Fantastic one.
Just emotional. I mean, he punched himself to bleeding for a promo. You know what I mean? Like, and then of course the man who has pretty much influenced all of modern WWE's promos based off of his work in NXT, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, who taught the promo class at the Performance Center. I was talking with a couple buddies the other day, and one of them we got on the topic of go-to YouTube videos when you're bored. And one of my go-to YouTube videos is just a compilation of Dusty Rhodes promos. Like it's crazy how much like how good he is. My first honorable mention for promos was Randy Savage. I do think that he definitely deserves to be on this list. For the backstage part, kind of the opposite of Stone Cold. His backstage interview promoing, world class. You put him in the ring live, it's still like he's still Randy Savage, he's still over the top, but you feel like something's missing. So yeah, those were my promos.
Dusty Rhodes, the most over person ever to win a single thing in WWE.
Yeah.
Like as soon as he got to the WWE, everyone he got a better crowd reaction than Hulk sometimes
that man
did.
Put over polka dots.
Yeah.
That
and
man
he
made
did it so freaking well.
Yeah.
For me, disclaimer, real quick. I went out of my way to try to find people Randy or Zach would not say.
Eddie kept talking about wanting to be different, and I didn't say anything at the time. But like, it's just your opinion, man. It
is. No, I wanted to go around it, and these are people I genuinely think have insanely good promos. And there's one of my who I had initially put as a honorable mention. I'm surprised wasn't even on your guys' list.
Yeah.
However, I'm gonna go down the line first. Honestly, more for his. I'm going to say more for his promos outside of the WWE. I actually liked more, and this is just an opinion, but I put Kurt Angle.
Oh, Kurt Angle's TNA coked up
promos.
Oh,
they're so freaking good.
Or not coke. What was he on? Percocet. Yeah, Kurt.
So such insanely good promos, and he had some really good ones in WWE regardless. And I wanted to put him on that list because I don't think he gets the appreciation for his microphone work.
There is an entire section of Kurt Angle's promo work where he kept saying the wrong things and it sounded wrong, and he kept going, "No, that's not what I meant."
I know.
That level of Kurt Angle promo work was awesome. Fantastic.
I loved it. Another guy I'm not necessarily surprised. I didn't think he'd be on the list, but absolutely deserves an honorable mention. If not, but he's on mine. I put Edge. Edge absolutely needed to be on that list. He is the ultimate. If you want to be a heel, microphone wise, you look at Edge.
He's the blueprint,
and you copy him. I put Brian Pillman. I think his microphone work we didn't get to see everything he could do in WWE, which is very unfortunate. And of course, when he passed, we didn't get to see everything he could do. He got in a very severe car accident, but before that, in WCW, he would literally, when him and Stone Cold were tag team partners with the Hollywood Blondes, they would go down, as they were driving from city to city, they would read a thesaurus on the way to every single town.
Yeah.
And hence, Loose Cannon was created. Some of the best work ever to me. I put a way back guy. I put superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah.
That guy could cut a promo.
That guy basically invented promos.
The man of the hour, the man with the power too sweet to be sour, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, yada, yada, yada. I don't know the rest of it. But he could work a microphone, and for his time, if you put him in with his build and his character then into the late 1980s, would have been perfect.
He's also who got a lot of his.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ric Flair took a lot of influence from Billy Graham.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Just stealing, wheeling, dealing stuff was a lot of it.
Because Billy Graham, like I said, he kind of invented promos in general, but he more specifically started inventing those catchphrases and a lot of that rhyming. That was a lot of what he did.
He is a trailblazer for these promos, and it's hard to leave him off of such an illustrious list. However, it's
list that we created in this living room.
Yeah, and an illustrious list. But my fifth, I didn't think you guys would have on yours. I put Rick Rude. That's another one I put on there.
Oh, I forgot an honorable mention. Sorry, you go ahead.
His microphone work and crowd interaction and interacting with the crowd is some of the best stuff you can possibly find in terms of, again, a true heel went out of his way to piss the fans off. And I thought microphone work wise, fantastic. I thought he did such a good job. And my real honor, if I were to create a list where I'm not thinking the way I did, this guy would have been on my list and he wasn't mentioned. I would have put Chris Jericho. I would have absolutely put Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, heel, face, whatever it may be, he can talk the talk, walk the walk, do everything in between.
Yeah.
And when he really became a true heel on his second WWE run, it was some of the best work wrestling wise and microphone wise ever, in my opinion.
Do you remember the Chris Jericho promo? I think I made you watch it, where him and everyone else involved with the Money in the Bank ladder match were on top of the ladders.
Yeah.
Do you remember that promo where him and Sami Zayn have to go back and forth, and he goes, "I've won a Money in the Bank," and Sami Zayn goes, "Really? Which one? I've won one." And he's like,
my favorite one is where he's talking to AJ Styles in a soccer mom haircut, and where he talks to James Ellsworth.
What the hell is that?
What the hell is that? Excuse me. Would someone please come and collect their son?
well, Sami Zayn looks at him and goes, "Where did you win?" And he goes, "Apple." Apple. And Sami Zayn goes, "Apple. Did you just say Apple?" He's the Big Apple. "Oh, New York? No, I wanted stupid Idiotville. What does it matter?" Chris Jericho's great on the mic. I do love Chris Jericho.
Fantastic. But I wanted to give some mentions of people who aren't as overly thought about. Right. I think Edge is pretty thought about. I think Chris Jericho is pretty thought about. But there are a lot of people who don't get the recognition they deserve and have made really great memories for me.
Yeah.
And just learning about the history, getting to learn about those promos as well.
Well, and before we go to mine, there was, like I said before, there was an honorable mention that I forgot for promos, and that's Scott Steiner.
I was literally, before you stopped talking, was like, "Randy, I'm surprised you didn't put him in your
Scott
list."
Steiner in the math promo.
The fact that Clayton didn't know Scott Steiner's catchphrase when I told him. Do you remember when we were recording that?
Oh, yeah. And he didn't know
I said, "Scott Steiner's your hookup." I pointed at him. He's like, "I don't know what that means." Like, are you freaking kidding me?
I was sitting here because that was during the unboxing video, right?
This was our NWO unboxing.
That was for
video.
their NWO unboxing, and I look over and go, "Clayton, that's your line. You're supposed to say holla if you hear me." Though, to be fair, you didn't know Buff's got the stuff, so
I wouldn't have been able to tell you that off the top of my head. Scott Steiner's so much bigger than Buff Bagwell. Get out of here,
I don't know, dude.
Tell people the real reason why your promo, or why he's on your honorable mention.
It's the math promo. Yeah. Scott Steiner's math promo. The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you. It's sacrifice.
Yeah. Nice.
Joe. Samoa Joe. Like, it's perfect. Because that means you got 33 1/3 percences. He says that. He says percences. Chance. You take Kurt Angle's. You take my 75% chance because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me. He's not even gonna try. Like Scott Steiner's math promo from TNA. If you haven't seen it, little Petey Pumps in the background just flexing. Like it's crazy, man. It's insane. Just go watch it.
Also, an underrated gimmick.
Little Petey Pump.
Yeah. Man
So
made a move that people have to overuse today.
Yeah.
You know you did something right if you got that.
100%, dude. It's a move that every celebrity gets.
Absolutely.
All right. So for my category, I went with Mount Rushmore of WrestleManias. And it was a big field to pick from, but I tried to avoid doing back-to-back WrestleManias, but I couldn't because they were just too good. So for my Mount Rushmore of WrestleMania, I started with the WrestleMania of all WrestleManias, X7. Mm-hmm. Highly regarded as the best WrestleMania of all time. Fantastic card top to bottom. Botches aside, you can't really beat it. And then for my second one, I put WrestleMania 20. I feel like I've broken record with how often I talk about it, but it does have a special place in my heart, and it's a good WrestleMania. My first one. After that, though, I did do WrestleMania 30. so many significant things happened at WrestleMania 30. Yeselmania, Undertaker's streak gets broken. Like there's a lot that happens at WrestleMania that really, it's one that people will never not talk about. It'll always be up there. And then Rock versus Hogan, WrestleMania 18.
I thought you said Brock versus
No,
Hogan.
Rock versus Hogan.
Okay.
No, I try to avoid doing back-to-back, but 17 and 18, banger after banger.
Yes, very much.
Honorable mention, I would do 15. Should be Stone Cold Rock 1, I believe. But you also, Triple H is on the card.
You get 4?
Yeah, I did 4. I did 17, 20, 30, and 18.
Oh, I had a stroke.
And
I'm
then
sorry.
15 would be an honorable mention, and then obviously I can't talk about WrestleMania without talking about WrestleMania 9.
What an ass WrestleMania.
What a guy.
What a guy.
What a guy.
What a guy. But no. All right, so you go ahead, Eddie.
Talking about ass WrestleManias, by the way. Whichever one. No offense to Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow, but that one kind of sucked.
Was it 11 or 12? It's up there in the early
95? 95?
Yeah, so
I think it was
11.
95.
That would be 11. or
That was 11.
12.
It was
11.
11.
I remember talking about
Yeah.
They had
in the old
Diesel.
rendition.
They had Diesel versus Shawn Michaels. By the way, just calling Kevin Nash a Diesel has been one of my pet peeves in life, by the way. I don't know why.
Why, that was his name. Like
That was his
it was
name.
just his wrestling. It was Diesel.
I think
Big
it's when
Daddy Cool.
I think it's when he
Diesel.
came back for that return Royal Rumble and he was
Oh,
Diesel and he
yeah.
dyed his hair
Yeah.
black and his mustache.
That
and
was
I'm like,
that was big sexy Kevin Nash playing Diesel.
Like-
but when he just was, and him and Shawn Michaels
Yeah.
did their tag team thing, and when he had his single but record breaking WWE title run, like Diesel, he was the man.
when I saw that version of Kevin Nash, it was like one of those moments where it's like, what? It's just an ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness.
Oh wait, hold on. Did you guys hear that?
What? My AirPods are in. I can't.
I think I just heard Kevin Nash's quads pop. I think it just happened.
Oh.
I think he tried walking to the kitchen to get some Cheez-Its and just completely collapsed from under him. And there goes Kevin Nash's quads.
All right, I'll get into mine.
All right, go
My
ahead.
favorite WrestleMania, this just has good memories in my mind and some really great matches.
Look at me right now.
You think
If you say WrestleMania 22,
I'm going to say WrestleMania 22? Look, that's the best memories I have of wrestling. That's when I was really first
You're gonna be really mad at mine.
insanely getting into it was at WrestleMania 22.
all right,
I had WrestleMania 4.
hold on.
Randy Savage.
Okay, Savage and Hogan.
Randy Savage wins World
Savage and
Championship for the
DiBiase.
first time. Yes.
Yeah, Savage and DiBiase.
That tournament and the way Randy Savage climbed to the top, fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good build.
Can't make a better first world title run than what he had to do to get there.
Yeah.
I put X7.
Yep.
I don't think I have to speak too much on that. Some of the best matches. One of the more underrated matches on that card, which I don't think gets talked about enough. Triple H versus Taker 1. I know you get so mad at that, I feel like. That was such a good match.
It was all right.
It was such
It
a
was
good match to me.
okay.
It was fantastic. I liked it a lot. Of course, TLC. You can't talk about that without TLC, Edge and Jeff Hardy's ladder spot. Like,
Yeah. It's in
It
our
will always
freaking
be there.
intro.
yeah.
Yep.
And this is going to be a newer one as well. Really good memories and pretty good matches, in my opinion. What do you think I'm going to say? What do you think?
You say WrestleMania 31.
Not that farther back.
Oh, 25?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
25.
Okay, good.
Great.
I was
great
saying that because
WrestleMania.
31 was like the Sting Triple H
No,
one. I'm pretty
I didn't
sure.
like
That
the
one
Sting
sucked.
Triple H one. I didn't like that one that much.
I thought you were gonna say 38.
One. No, great Money in the Bank match, by the way.
WrestleMania 25 should be in my honorable mentions now
Yeah.
that I'm thinking about it.
Rey
That was
Mysterio.
Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels.
Rey
right?
Mysterio
that's
retired
24.
JBL for a
Okay.
second time. I want to point out as well.
Well,
Second time Rey Mysterio retired JBL.
he quit, but yes.
Yes. And
Oh,
I'm going.
that was the year he had the Joker attire too.
Yeah.
It was so sick. I
Yeah.
loved that WrestleMania. And the build-up for Triple H and Randy Orton, another fantastic, just rivalry build-up, everything in between.
Yep.
And my 5th honorable mention, I put WrestleMania 10. That had Brett and Owen.
Yes. Yeah.
That had the match everyone went to see, Lex Luger and Yokozuna.
Tried to press him.
And Mr. Perfect turned on him and then did literally nothing with that storyline after that. Brett, the severity of him winning that match and winning that title against Yokozuna just showed what the next 3 to 4 years were going to look like. It's like if he can beat him, he can do whatever he wants.
It solidified Brett. That was Brett. I don't want to say entering the main event, but showing that he deserved to be there.
That was absolutely, and putting Owen over to where he was recognized after that as someone who was really talented. No, WrestleMania 22 though. Always right there.
Dude, the thing is, I don't think it's a bad WrestleMania, but it's such a meh WrestleMania. It's like WrestleMania 16. Like that's the same vibe.
It just had.
Like I said, you're really gonna hate my.
Such a good place in my heart.
Dude, I could probably tell. Your list is gonna be like. Sorry, you go ahead.
Boogeyman and Booker T, dude.
Yeah.
Edge and Mick Foley, one of my favorite matches of all time. I just love those bloody matches like that.
Is that Shawn and Cena?
That is Shawn and Vince McMahon 1.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which also great match.
Is that so? Is that
that's when he did the elbow drop off the top
into the trash Vince? Yeah, and then after that,
is that the triple threat? Then is that the Orton, Cena, Batista one?
No, that's Orton, Kurt Angle, and Rey Mysterio.
When did Cena?
That was Rey, Orton, Kurt.
Okay.
Triple H and John Cena.
John Cena and Triple H, also great match.
Oh yeah,
fantastic match. Trish and Mickey.
23, by the way.
Trish and Mickey, dude.
Sure.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Mickey. I think you were thinking 23.
I was probably thinking of 23.
Trish and Mickey just gave her the twist.
Don't do the arm. Don't do the arm. Just, we get it. We know what the twist is. You don't have to. All right.
She did the twist.
All right.
The twist.
Go ahead, Zach.
Okay. WrestleMania 22.
22. Yeah, I knew you were going to put 22 on there. You
good
probably
one.
also have like 23 on there, though.
No. I had WrestleMania 17.
Yeah.
Yep.
WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 21.
Oh, okay.
That's not a bad list. I actually like that list.
Is 21's the Goes Hollywood again, right?
Yeah.
Because WrestleMania 20 is where it all begins.
Shawn and Kurt's match, dude. Another underrated one.
Yeah.
It's fan-frickin-tastic.
My honorable mention, just because of the match that was in and out for the WrestleMania, but WrestleMania 28.
What was WrestleMania 20?
John versus Rock.
Oh,
dude, I
won?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, because 27 was Cena Miz, yeah.
After 25, everything's over my head on like which WrestleMania is that?
See, that's me with 21 through 24 minus Rick and Shawn. I know where that's at.
Yeah.
But everything that's your childhood, I get confused about. I don't know where's what. I don't know what's where and when. I just know I could tell you all the players, couldn't tell you what they did.
At that point, dude, it's like it's such a blur. I know the matches, but I couldn't tell you what WrestleMania it was at. If you're talking literally any other pay-per-view, I'd probably be able.
We already know this pay-per-view.
I'm the pay-per-view wizard.
I'm the pay-per-view wizard. You know, I actually want you to know that I started watching that episode, and the second you started talking, I turned it off because you sounded like that.
I am the pay-per-view wizard.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. They were entertaining episodes. I was in the bathroom while you guys were filming those.
Yep.
It was
so
worst WrestleMania.
No,
hold on. Do hot take?
Yeah, okay. Worst WrestleMania?
Worst WrestleMania? Besides WrestleMania 9? Vetoed. Doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
All right.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
I think even worse than WrestleMania 11, which we just talked about, and I basically said was the worst one, but ignore the fact that I said that.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with it's actually, no, 11 was really bad. I can't really put anything. I was going to say actually 12 or 13, but 13 had Brett and Stone Cold, and that's when the evolution of Stone Cold really came into play. where he didn't tap. He passed out to Brett's sharpshooter, which I don't know if that would actually happen, but
Yeah.
Still made Stone Cold. Everyone, Brett heel, Stone Cold face.
Is the double turn.
Yes, abso-freaking-lutely. Every WrestleMania from like 95 until 98 was just
Dookie.
Yeah, Dookie.
Zach, before I go into my diatribe, what's your worst WrestleMania?
I'll have.
Okay, good. 36 is the worst WrestleMania of all time.
Who?
COVID. COVID Mania is the worst.
Then I give that one.
It does not matter what happens during any WrestleMania ever, because there was at least a crowd there to react.
Right.
If you were to make me not say WrestleMania 36 because everyone universally agrees that it's the worst of all time because there was no crowd,
again, it's one of those things that just goes over
then
my
it's
head.
9. Like, then WrestleMania 9 is obviously bad. But WrestleMania 8 wasn't great either. But the curveball that I'm going to throw you guys, here's what we're going to do. Actually, High Flyers or promo?
What?
Just pick one. High Flyers or promo? High Flyers. Okay, so Rey Mysterio versus Evan Bourne versus Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles. Who wins?
Oh, wow.
Who wins that fatal 4-way?
Are you asking both of us or just him?
I'm asking the group. I have an answer, but I want to hear your guys.
I think AJ
first.
Styles.
You think AJ Styles?
AJ.
I said AJ too, but if there's a belt on the line, I think Rey Mysterio sneaks it. I think if there's a title on the line, Rey Mysterio squeaks it out.
I think
for the
it's
ultimate
not with
face.
AJ in the.
No.
Yeah.
He's pinning Evan Bourne.
Everyone's pinning Evan
Everyone's
Bourne.
pinning Evan Bourne, but okay, name your High Flyers again.
My High Flyers: RVD, Randy Savage, Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio.
I know who I pick.
I know who I'd pick.
Who do you pick?
So
RVD.
I pick Randy Savage.
I pick Savage too.
Yeah.
Only because I'm choosing to pick like 1999 Savage when he like bulks up and is basically a boulder.
Yeah, I'm still
and just
thinking
starts squashing people.
I'm thinking a WrestleMania for
or like
Savage.
Mega Powers.
Yeah, like he, just the level he was on. Even though you can't say he is a complete high flyer,
Yeah.
he innovated the game. If honestly RVD has a good chance of winning, I think Jeff
Say
Hardy.
them again.
RVD, Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, Randy Savage.
All right, see, RVD eats the pin for me in that match.
I couldn't do that. I think Jeff Hardy eats the pin.
I would, in my booking, RVD eats the pin for that. All right, what about yours?
Ray, Psychosis, Eddie, and Van Dam.
Oh, that's easy.
I pick Eddie.
Eddie wins that hands down. Going over on Psychosis. You'd pick RVD
I pick RVD.
in that match?
I do pick RVD in that match.
Wow, who's he pinned?
Okay, so hear me out.
Wow, all right.
I honestly would say Ray.
Universally, he has beaten Eddie so many times.
We do know that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he would beat Eddie Guerrero or Psychosis. Not Ray. Not Ray.
Wow. Bold.
Bold.
Ugh. All right, well, there's our Mount Rushmores for High Flyers, promos, and WrestleManias. Now it's your guys' turn. Hit the comments. Let us know who your Mount Rushmore top 4 are for High Flyers, for promos, for WrestleManias. Let us know what you think of our list. Tell us what we got right. Tell us what we got wrong. And more specifically, why WrestleMania 22 is not in the top 4 of WrestleMania.
Also, list your favorite Boogeyman match while we're at it.
He's going to come get you.
List your top 4 moments that the Boogeyman bit that thing off of Jillian Hall's face. All right, thanks for joining us today, guys. I really appreciate you spending the time with us. It's been Eddie, Zach. I've been Randy. We already hit you with the socials, so we don't have to do that again. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.